when we started the session where we did the parenting blueprint and we talked about getting the quick wins, and you guys all went through and you identified your major pain points and you identified what you wanted to get a quick win in, right? Remember that session? Um, I want to really bring some strength to an important key point that many of us, if we're not careful, we miss completely. But we can't miss it. We need to pay attention to it because it is way more important than you realize. And what it is essentially is
What is it?
I'm going to
I'm dying to
summarize.
know.
You know what it is. I'm going to summarize it with a quote that my husband, Greg Denning, likes to say sometimes. You can't change destinations overnight, but you can change direction
Overnight.
overnight, instantaneously, right
That's
now.
good. That's a good
That's
quote.
good. Yeah, you should write it down and use it. Uh, so many
Hold on,
of
let
you,
me say it. Let me repeat it because you kind of killed it.
I'm sorry,
So
I didn't say it.
a lot
I
of
didn't
us
ask.
like a lot of us want to be able to change destinations overnight, and you can't do that. We
You're
can't
supposed
change
to say that.
destinations overnight. 100%, you can change direction in a moment. Literally overnight, you can change your direction, right? And that's such an important principle when we're talking about creating legacy level change in our families.
Well, and it's also important in this idea of creating these quick wins because we talked about, hey, let's create some quick wins in your family. Now, this is natural. There's nothing wrong if you did this. Many of you are thinking, "Great, I want to go from this where we are over here in 3 days or less," right? But that's changing destinations. You can't do that. I mean, sometimes once in a while that happens and that's amazing. What's probably more likely happening, and this is what I want you to pay attention to, your children are beginning to change direction as you are trying new strategies and new approaches. Those directional changes are huge. That is a big deal. That's the part I really want to emphasize and bring home. The small, seemingly insignificant sometimes directional changes are a big deal because what is happening is, yeah, you're not going from this destination to this one. But if you change the direction of your child, that is the destination they're heading for.
We need to illustrate. So your
Here's a little
child is the hippo,
hippopotamus,
and your hippo's heading in the wrong direction.
and it's
It
driving
gets
you
all the way
crazy.
over here, and you're like, ah, if we go any farther in this direction, our family's gonna fall apart, and I'm gonna strangle somebody. And so you implement changes, and this is really, really important. So everybody watch carefully. The hippo changes direction, but stays in the same position, right? So you look at
I
it
want
and
to
you
say
think,
that sometimes it even
well,
changes like
sometimes,
that.
okay, so yeah, instead of a full,
180.
180, it just turns this way. Now you're like, if you're not careful, you're like, oh, it's still in the same
It's
place.
not working.
It's,
It doesn't
it's
work.
not working. I saw a little improvement, but I want them to never fight again for the rest of their lives. Instead of, well, they were kind of nice to each other, and then maybe they do a 180. But look where they are. They're still where they stopped. And so it looks like it's not working. It looks like you're not making progress, but you've changed directions. So now they start taking baby steps back, and you're like, oh, look where we are. We want to be way over here. But the important thing is you have literally changed directions, and now they're going in the right direction. And you just keep nourishing that until in a short time, you're way over in happy land.
But the problem we see too often, put your little stopper up right there, is that too many parents want to change the destination immediately or sooner, and they don't recognize, praise, or acknowledge this change. And so what happens? And then they stop doing it because they're like, oh, it's not working. Boop. The little hippo goes back and then keeps going that way. So I want to emphasize with my neon signs, pay attention to the directional changes. In fact, I've had some of you messaging me on Boxer and Marco Polo and saying things, well, yeah, actually, they were a little bit nicer. They did do that a little bit better. Yes, that is huge. Praise, praise, praise that change in behavior because it will continue to create that directional um, change and then eventually over time move you to the destination you want. Okay. I mean, one of the things I like to remind you, although it's incredibly painful, so I don't do it often, whatever the age is of your child, it's taken you that long to get to the behavior you have. That means the behavior is not going to change overnight, and it's not going to change in a week, and it's not going to change in a month. Now, the good news is it's not like if your child is 10, it's not going to take another 10 years to get them to the behavior you want, but it's also not going to take 10 minutes or 10 hours, or I would say even it could happen in 10 weeks.
Oh, easy, all day
Yeah.
long. Yeah, I've helped families make massive cultural and family dynamic transformations in 10 weeks or less.
But it happens when we pay attention to these small shifts and then continue to like nurture that and cultivate that rather than saying, well, it's not good enough. So I'm not happy with it. So I'm going back to what I did
Yeah.
before.
In exasperation, throw a towel in, and you go back and it's it. Now, I do want to point out most things aren't as dramatic as we're talking about. It's not 180. Maybe the hippos pointed a little bit this way and you just wanted to point a little bit this way. It's
Yeah,
just a
that's
little
true
bit of a shift.
also.
So it's not that usually not that dramatic to make changes and shifts in the family.
Okay. So that was that I wanted to emphasize. The small wins. The small wins are quick wins. Those are important wins.
So wait, hold on, let me just
So yeah.
I don't want to get here and you guys, okay, blah 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 blah. The Dennings are talking again. Thank you. Let's move on. Like, are you doing this? Are
Well,
you celebrating small wins?
I want you to think of can with that context in mind, can you think of like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, I did notice this small little improvement that occurred. And this is for your benefit, or if you want, you can share it. But like take a minute, think about it and think back through like, okay, yeah, my child used to do this and now they're not doing it as bad or as much or as often. It's really such a simple thing. And yet it's amazing that when we actually take the time to do something like that, even if it's just mentally in our head, it totally shifts the dynamic with our spouses, with our children. And, I mean, I think sometimes we spend so much time thinking about or paying attention to or noticing all the things our kids do that we don't like that we forget or don't pay attention to all the things they do that are really great. So it's just kind of being more intentional with that.
And we
Um,
we take good behavior for granted.
right, we
So
do. We take it for
we go in
granted.
the store, we grab a couple things, we go out and instead of saying, wow, thank you so much for behaving so well and cooperating with that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
We don't say anything.
I'm kind of laughing because one of the things that comes up in Greg's coaching a lot of times with men is that, and this is kind of an extreme case, but I think it's also important to remember. Like they'll say things, when they're talking about their wives and how they feel underappreciated, they'll be like, she should just be more grateful. Like, I'm not a drug dealer. I'm not an alcoholic, and in many cases that's true. Like we have to be like not take certain things for granted. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we do that. It's just like, oh, well, yeah, you're not, but you should be doing this, 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 and this. And I think we do that with our kids too, where it's like because it's tough. We have high expectations, and that's a good
Okay.
thing. But if we have those high expectations at the expense of noticing all of the already good things, then that's where we kind of start to get in trouble. That is one key if you can remember it. And I say that, remember, because it took me a long time to remember. If I can remember to pay attention to and acknowledge all the positive things, that right there is solves 90% of the problems. Like it really does. Because when you do that, the person you're doing it to automatically does more of the positive things that you're noticing.
They love it. Oh, they love it.
Yep.
They love being acknowledged.